General Motors is amping up its electric vehicle plans in a competition with Ford to be the large legacy auto company in America that survives the coming disruption. They're bringing out Ultium, Ultra Cruise, and a whole lot more. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Electrek Viking. Fantastic to see you. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, for supporting the channel, for watching the videos and commenting. It means a lot to us to have you with us. Now, spam alert. There's been a whole lot of spam in the comment sections. Some idiots are making fake names and pretending they're me or pretending they're us and commenting, replying to your comments, asking you to get in contact with them on WhatsApp and other bogus things like that. I'm not going to contact you in the comment section and ask you to get in contact with me to award you with some sort of mystery prize. That won't happen. So if that happens, someone comments like that, it isn't me. Now, Steve Hanley, my favorite journalist from Clean Technica, has written that it used to be if you wanted news about the EV revolution, you turned to Elon Musk and Tesla. Well, I think it mostly still is, but that is starting to change somewhat. While some other manufacturers were dipping their toes in the electric car waters, very reluctantly I might add, Tesla was the one that was making waves. They still are, but fortunately the entire industry is being dragged kicking and screaming behind them, with some of them more willing than others. Tesla is going great guns with 2 new factories coming online shortly, Giga Berlin and Giga Texas. Now I'm really intrigued to know where their next factory will be being built. I know this video is about GM, but seriously, tell me in the comment section below, where do you think Tesla's next factory will be? I don't think it will be India, but I'm really intrigued. I actually think the next one will be somewhere in Europe. Question is where? Let me know what you think. Now, other companies are no longer resting on their laurels. They're having to be proactive because otherwise investors are saying, get your shit together, guys. We want to still be around. We don't want to lose our money, our investment. We want you to be successful. So what that means is companies like General Motors have awakened from their self-satisfied reverie and are slowly but surely dragging themselves into a future where electrified transportation will be the norm. In fact, in many places and many cities, it already almost is. For example, Norway. General Motors is the poster child for the notion that large multinational corporations are lumbering giants who trip over their own feet when they try to change direction. It has shown glimpses of inspiration in the past. The EV1, which was a bit of a disaster considering they recalled every one of them and crushed them involuntarily for the owners of them. Anyway, the EV1 and the Chevy Volt being 2 examples, but always goes back to doing what it does best, which is building high volume cars and trucks for the masses. Now, if recent announcements from the General can be believed, it is fully on board with the EV revolution. I don't think this is true, Steve. Unfortunately, they're saying that up to 50% of their electric cars globally will be electric in 2030. Now, I believe they'll change this number. There is no choice for them but to change this number, or at least 50% of their cars will be basically sitting in parking lots being unsold in 2030. But the good news is GM are investing money right now in battery deployment, which is what they desperately need in order to achieve their goal of somehow magically overtaking Tesla in electric car sales. Now, of course, that isn't a realistic goal. It's just a publicity statement, but it is good to see the efforts that they're making. Now, this past week at an Investors Day event, GM said it will double its revenue by 2030. I'm not sure how yet, but they said they'll take the EV sales crown away from Tesla, make its combustion engines more efficient with lower emissions, generate new revenue from insurance and OnStar subscriptions, introduce its Ultra Cruise self-driving system, offer an under $30,000 electric SUV, introduce a new low-price electric SUV, and bring an all-electric version of the Silverado Sierra pickup twins to market. That is crucial. Absolutely crucial. They need to get those electric pickup trucks on the market as soon as they possibly can. And that's a lot of stuff to be doing. Let's have a look at that. Now, the first thing that they said, they're going to overtake Tesla. That's ludicrous because Tesla will be selling at minimum 10 million EVs by 2030, and there is zero chance GM will even come close to meeting that. There is zero chance GM will even come close to matching Tesla's 2020 electric vehicle output, simply because they don't plan to do so. If you ever look at their plans, the actual plans in terms of the number of electric cars they say that they'll have in 2025, it's nowhere near as many as what Tesla will be selling in 2025. So I think they should just forget about these sound bites by saying they're going to kill Tesla and they're going to beat Tesla and they're going to do this to Tesla and Tesla this and Tesla that. It's enough of that. It just sounds like little man syndrome. My suggestion is don't be the little man, be the big man. Forget about Tesla. Focus on how you can look at them to improve, but forget about using them to try and sell yourself and focus on the greater mission. Now, the electric Silverado is part of that greater mission. In a press release this week, General Motors said it will introduce its all-new, from the ground up Chevrolet Silverado electric pickup truck at the CES 2022 show in January. So the fact that it is an all-new from the ground up pickup truck instantly, in my mind, means it will be a better truck than Ford's F-150 Lightning, which is essentially a re-engineered F-150 pickup. It's good, but it's not as good as what it would be if it was completely re-engineered from the ground up. So that's good news for General Motors. The truck will be built on GM's Ultium electric vehicle platform, which uses Ultium batteries that come from whatever place that the Transformers come from. Jokes, anyway. And Ultium electric motors. General Motors marketing department is in love with the new word they've created. Personally, I'm not a big fan. But anyway, who cares? It's a word. The Silverado EV will offer a full glass roof for the first time in a full-size pickup. Interesting there that they're taking off on Tesla. Obviously, the Cybertruck has that. They're going to copy that. That's fine. The four-wheel steering system will be a feature of the upcoming electric Hummer, will also be available. Now, for fleet buyers, there will be no fancy glass room or crab walking suspension, just hardworking trucks with up to 400 miles of range. Now, there is no mention of a ginormous frunk or vehicle-to-home capability like the Ford F-150 Lightning, but it may have it. A glass roof may not be enough to overcome the lack of those features if it's lacking in those areas. Let's hope that it isn't. And if in fact they are absent on the Silverado, that would be an issue. But I believe GM knows this and make sure that their pickup has those features. Now, an electric GMC Sierra will follow shortly after the Silverado is introduced. It's unlikely all Silverado EVs will offer that much range. However, obviously there will be a number of different battery size options. Now, obviously one of the big challenges with getting electric pickup trucks to market is the fact that they require so many batteries. Obviously, at least an electric pickup's going to need at least double the amount of batteries as the average passenger vehicle. Because, well, one reason they're aerodynamically like boats, basically. You could call them an aerodynamic brick. In other words, they need a lot of batteries. Where's GM going to get all those batteries from? Well, it is currently building battery plants, but I believe it should, in addition to those, try to get supply from a big company like CATL, try to get some lithium iron phosphate batteries from a company like CATL or even BYD to increase its battery supply. That will enable it to be able to, well, do things like, well, look at Ford right now, right? They got 200,000 pre-orders for their F-150 pickup, but they're only building a fraction of that number next year. Why? Well, they don't have the battery supply yet. Batteries are important. Ultra Cruise. GM says its new Ultra Cruise will be every bit the equal of Tesla's much ballyhooed and often delayed fully self-driving system. With more sensors than its Super Cruise system, including cameras, radars, and LiDAR, it develops an accurate 360-degree, three-dimensional statistical representation of the environment surrounding vehicles with redundancies in critical areas. General Motors says it will offer drivers door-to-door self-driving 95% of the time. Ultra Cruise is not just a game changer in terms of what it enables. A door-to-door hands-free driving experience, but a technological one as well, says GM Executive Vice President Doug Parks. It's been developed completely in-house. The combination of Ultra Cruise for premium offerings and Super Cruise for lower cost products will enable us to offer driver assist technology across price points and different segments. Ultra Cruise will be one of those subscription offerings General Motors is counting on to bring more money in the door. Okay, so here's the tip here. This is how General Motors thinks it can double its revenue. Clearly, it's going to offer subscriptions to their full self-driving packages. There would be no other possible way General Motors can double their revenue, really, when, let's be honest, their car sales are not going to increase by a significant amount. Clearly, they're not going to double their car sales. It's not even remotely possible. However, they may be able to massively increase their revenue if their full self-driving system works as well as what they claim, which it very well may, and then they're able to sell this as a service. Autoblog says, like Tesla, GM's offering will support over-the-air software updates, allowing both maintenance and expansion as issues are identified or upgraded modules are made available. Look for Ultra Cruise to debut next year on a so far unnamed 2023 Cadillac model. That's good news for General Motors. Now, another thing it appears as though they are looking to increase revenue on is selling extra features. So let's say you buy your vehicle and it has the ability to do other things like Tesla's vehicles do. They just turn off those features. Well, then a little thing can come up on the screen and it can say, hey, we noticed that you have passengers in the back. We do have ventilated seats in this car. You can turn on that option by paying an extra $2,000. But there you go. That could be another option for them. Now, as part of the Investors Day presentation, General Motors President Mark Roos said a Chevy SUV about the size of the current Equinox that starts at around $30,000 should bring significant new sales to the company. The Equinox is GM's second best-selling vehicle. He added that the company is working on an electric Chevy Blazer and a smaller vehicle at a lower price point, but offered no details on those vehicles. Now, Royce claimed that electric vehicles will bring new buyers into showrooms. And he's right. Ford have evidence of this. 50% of buyers of the Mustang Mach-E have come from other brands. Volkswagen said the same thing. 70% of buyers of the ID3 and ID4 have come from other brands. Ford and Volkswagen are disrupting other companies. But, to be honest, Ford's not selling very many Mustang Mach-E's. GM's barely selling any electric cars, and I don't know when they will be. So right now, they are the ones being disrupted by Tesla. Now, Roos from General Motors claimed that the company will create a dedicated factory to build electric trucks by converting an existing facility and plans to have more than half of its North American and China factories capable of making electric vehicles by 2030. Contrast that with Volkswagen Group CEO Herbert Diess calling for tearing down existing factories to make new, more efficient production facilities. GM also said this week it will invest $750 million in improving EV charging networks over the next 4 years. Now, it's interesting to see that what Volkswagen is saying about tearing down and building again, because that appears as though it is what Ford is doing at the moment with building new EV factories around the United States. Now, General Motors announced last week the creation of a battery innovation center where it expects to find ways to improve battery performance and to lower battery costs. Now, more important than improving performance of batteries, in my view, is lowering costs because its competitors currently produce batteries at a very low cost. So GM is going to have to compete with that, and that will be a big challenge. So what are GM doing to compete with that? Well, they're building two new factories, two battery factories, one in Michigan and one in Tennessee, with their partner LG Energy Solutions, who are on the hook to pay them $2 billion in compensation for their costs of recalling all the GM Bolt vehicles which have had battery issues. Anyway, they're going to manufacture battery cells at those plants with LG Energy Solutions to power all of their new electric cars. If wishes were horses, we'd all be kings, my old Irish grandmother liked to say, says Steve Hanley. GM has made a ton of promises already, but talk is cheap. Actions are what count. Readers should be aware that General Motors is relying on sales of good old cars and trucks with good old internal combustion engines to pay for all of this. Just yesterday, General Motors unveiled a new engine, a 1,000 horsepower engine that has 10 litres of displacement. As far as I can tell, it's the biggest ICE engine in the world. So General Motors has been sitting around developing an ICE engine, the biggest one in the world, for the last 6 months. I think they could have better spent that money on developing their electric products rather than their ICE products. Long-time observers of General Motors can't help feeling that if market conditions changed rapidly, GM would drop its electric vehicle intentions faster than 3-day-old fish and carry on doing what it has always done until the waters of Lake St. Clair and Lake Erie combined to submerge Detroit. If investors were impressed with what they heard on Investors Day, they had a funny way of showing it. The price of GM stock actually fell slightly after the presentation before recovering somewhat later in the week. However, context here is needed. GM's share price has actually increased by 40% this year. That's the most it's ever increased over the past 20 years. GM is clearly in the EV race, but always seems to be about a lap behind the leaders. Will it realize its lofty goals? Will it even still be in business at the end of this decade? Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Will GM still be around in 10 years? Personally, I hope they will be. We need GM. We can't only have Tesla in America. We need at least one of the other big three to survive this coming decade of disruption. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.